A seeming slowdown in inflation, that's the word from the Labor Department tonight. But compared to this time last year, prices remain high, and the June and July numbers came in about even. Still, the news sent the stock market soaring, with the Dow Jones Industrial Average soaring up above 535 points to end the day, and the S&P up around 2.1%. The big question: do today's inflation numbers mean we're out of the woods? Brody Carter joins us now. Brody, what led to today's positive report?
Well, Caitlin, the good news in today's report mainly comes from the drop in gas prices. And while this month's rate is a bit better than economists expected, there's still a long way to go.
Came here because the prices are a lot cheaper than other places, and it's been going down a lot more lately too.
Not only are gas prices dropping, this month's inflation report points to lower costs for new and used cars, travel, and clothing. Still, inflation remains a big concern, rising 8.5% in July compared to a year ago, although the Biden administration is trying to paint a rosy picture.
Today, we received news that our economy had 0% inflation in the month of July. 0%. While the price of some things went up last month, the price of other things went down by the same amount. The result, zero inflation last month.
Politicians do politics. What we do is economic analysis here.
Senior economic analyst Mark Hamrick with Bankrate.
Excluding food and energy up 5.9% from a year ago. So we're coming down in these headline numbers, but we're not at zero with respect to where we are year to date or over the past year.
Biden's touting the 0% number deals with what's known as the core inflation, one of several lenses used to view the economy. It removes food and energy prices, which can often be more volatile.
Food prices are still up big time. And something else that we can't escape, that's where we live, shelter costs are up over the past year.
Food prices hit highs not seen since the 1970s. The bill at a restaurant rose 0.7% over last month, and grocery store prices rose 1.3%. Eggs alone jumping 47%. After months of turmoil, the best economic news remains in the labor market.
I think between the good news we've had on the job market, meaning that we're still hiring a lot of people, the unemployment rate matching a 50-year low at 3.5%, and inflation may have peaked, but we don't have full confirmation on that because we still need several more months worth of data. There's reason for hope there, and any form of relief for our pocketbooks and our purses, our bank accounts, I think that's welcome news.
And like we said, that relief on your bank account is most notable at the pump. AAA reports the national average for a gallon of gas is $4.01. That's down 67 cents from just 1 month ago. Caitlin, back to you.
Here now, economic expert and fellow at the Heritage Foundation, Stephen Moore. Steve, thanks for coming on Faith Nation. Do the latest numbers signal to you that inflation has finally peaked?
Well, maybe. Let's hope that we've seen a peak of inflation. But boy, we're practically at the top of Mount Everest, aren't we, when we see these inflation rates that are, still a 40-year high. Now, the inflation rate did fall a little bit from 9% to 8.5%. But my gosh, I looked at the numbers that just came out this morning, and you still have, double-digit increases in groceries and eggs and broccoli and beef and pork. And then you have, 30, 40% increases in the price of gasoline, obviously, and you've seen the huge increase in electric utilities. And don't forget another one where prices are still really high and increasing, which is rental payments that people have to pay to live in their apartments. So I don't think we've seen the worst of inflation yet, and I don't understand why the White House is taking a victory lap on some pretty lousy numbers.
With all the increases that you mentioned, what do you believe is responsible for the slight drop of inflation that we saw in today's report?
It's because demand is falling, because what's happened is we've had now 14 months in a row where prices are rising faster than people's incomes because of the Biden massive spending spree of $3 trillion. And we poured all this cheap money into the economy, and people's wages cannot keep up. And so people have had to cut back. So, for example, this summer, when this is vacation season, when people load into the minivan and the station wagon and go to the mountains or go to the beaches, and people are not traveling much this summer because they can't afford the price of gasoline. So when the demand for something goes down, the price goes down, which is normally a good thing. But when people have to cut back on their expenditures, that's not a good thing.
What factors will signal to you that prices across the board are truly headed down in a healthy way, not just because people are cutting back?
Well, I'm not optimistic right now because as we speak, the House is about to engage in a big debate about another $700 billion tax and spend plan on top of the $3 trillion they've already spent. I mean, my gosh, that is lighting a match in a fireworks factory. I mean, you're going to just see these prices continue to grow. We have to stop the spending. We have to stop the massive borrowing and the increase in our national debt. And raising taxes, by the way, on our middle income families and more IRS agents is not going to solve that problem.
You mentioned the Inflation Reduction Act. In your opinion, and I think I might know your answer to this, what are the chances it does indeed reduce inflation?
Probably close to 0%. In fact, the odds are that it's going to increase inflation because it increases spending on federal government programs, which is inflationary, and then it raises taxes on our small businesses and our manufacturers and our coal plants and on our steel plants. I don't get the logic of this. We want to bring jobs back to the United States. That bill is going to actually lead to factories and manufacturing leaving the United States and going to China, Mexico, India, and other countries.
Now, you briefly mentioned the middle class and the effect that this could have on them. Can you elaborate a little bit on why this could hit the middle class especially hard?
Well, I'll give you one example. The massive, unthinkable doubling of the IRS budget, doubling to 150,000 the number of IRS agents. And it's very clear that the Democrats want to target those enforcement efforts at middle-class people making between, say, $75,000 and $150,000 a year. And those audits can be incredibly expensive for families. I went through one with my wife just not long ago, and it was like having our wisdom teeth pulled, and it cost us a lot of money just to take on the IRS. So I think that's where the IRS should be very afraid, especially with what we've seen this past week with the FBI investigating and raiding the home of Donald Trump.
All right. Economic expert Stephen Moore, that's all the time we have. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.